Okay, so I got this book and it is called Watch Your Mouth. And since I'm doing all sorts of new stuff, I thought that it would be something neat if I were to do videos and maybe possibly make a YouTube channel or of some sort. I don't know. I'm just trying something different because I feel voids and stuff. So anyhow, I got this book. It's called Watch Your Mouth, Understanding the Power of the Tongue. So I'm going to go ahead and just read it to you guys, and in spurts, of course, not all at once. So here's the introduction. A Greek philosopher once invited some very influential, powerful guests to his home for dinner, the 2 nights in a row. He told them he was going to provide them with the best possible meal on the first night and the worst possible meal on the second night. When his guests arrived, the servant set before them a meal of smothered tongue. The guests asked why this would be considered the best possible meal. The philosopher replied, "The tongue is what we use to bless people, communicate happiness, dispel sorrow, and remove despair. We also use it to help the faint-hearted, inspire the discouraged, and uplift all mankind. The tongue is the best possible meal." The next night, the guests returned to the philosopher's home for dinner, this time expecting the worst possible meal. Yet, once again, the servants brought out smothered tongue. The guests were curious why the same entree was served twice, and they asked how it could be so. The philosopher replied, "With the tongue, we break hearts, bring curses, destroy reputations, promote discord, induce strife, and set wars in motion." So with that, I'm going to pause or take a break or something, or maybe not. In other words, you can use the very same thing to do good or to do evil. The same tool holds the power to do it all. I'm sure you've heard the saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." That phrase is a lie. At some point in your life, you have undoubtedly been hurt by other people's words. You have most likely also hurt people from time to time with your own words. Proverbs summarizes it this way: "From the fruit of his mouth, a man's stomach is satisfied. He is filled with the product of his lips. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Proverbs 18, 20, and 21. Proverbs, 18, 20, and 21. The tool behind your teeth, the tongue, can influence your world for good or for bad. It can bring life or it can bring death. The mouth and the tongue not only take things in, but also produce things that come out. It goes in both directions. Your words will provide a helping of life or a helping of death, because life and death are in the power of the tongue. Words matter much more than people realize. History was inaugurated with divine speech as God brought creation into existence through his words. So it should not surprise us that when the Turing God created mankind in his image, speech was part of the package. He intended humankind not to only communicate with him, but also with each other on his behalf. Human speech was also designed not only to communicate the intentions of our mind and heart, but also to carry the power and authority to bring into reality the will of God. This is why the Bible says that when Adam named the animals, God brought before him whatever Adam called a living creature, that was its name. Genesis 2:19. God recognizes, validates, and empowers speech that is consistent with his will. Therefore, the words coming out of our mouths are powerful expression of the image of God. work in our lives. That's why it should not surprise us that when Satan tempted Eve in the garden, it was not only with speech, but it was also about speech. The serpent said to the woman, "Did God really say you can't eat from any tree in the garden?" Genesis 3:1. Words outside of God's will have a power that leads to death, while the words of God bring creation of life. The point is simply this: speech has power, and words really do matter. When connected to the word of and will of God, our speech brings life and help and hope to both the speaker and the hearer. When disconnected from the creator of speech, it brings despair, hopelessness, confusion, as at the Tower of Babel. Genesis 11:1-9. And death. Life and death are truly in the power of the tongue. The power to heal, and power to destroy. In the book of Deuteronomy, we read of Moses speaking to the nation of Israel about his reality. I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. Deuteronomy 30:19. When Moses says life and death, he is not referring to killing people physically. He means they can choose to bring blessing or destruction through their choices, and that would include their choice of words. Life is the enjoyment of the favor of God. Death is the removal of divine favor, leading to the death of a dream, the death of a relationship, or whatever. The same tool in your mouth can bring both. In a surgeon's skilled hand, a scalpel can help preserve life, but a criminal can use the same sharpened blade to bring death. A wise doctor can use a syringe to promote healing in a sick patient, but a drug pusher can use the same syringe to cause death. You and I have the power to bring blessing or a curse upon each other and upon ourselves simply through our mouths. The ability to do both is found in it. You don't have to kill a person physically in order to ruin their life forever. Myriads of people have been wiped out by words. Proverbs 6:2 says, "You have been trapped by the words of your lips, ensnared by the words of your mouth." Our words can trap us. They can get us into situations we never should have gotten into. They can bind us into commitments we never should have made. The tongue can heal or it can harm. The tongue can heal. The tongue that heals is a tree of life, but a devious tongue but a devious tongue breaks the spirit. Proverbs 15:4. Far too many of us use our tongues flippantly to voice how we feel or what we think, but do we use it powerfully? Your tongue is a tool that can create blessing and breath and breathe life, not only for yourself, but also for those around you. But keep in mind, your tongue also has the power to bring death. We see both summarized in Proverbs 12:18. There is one who speaks rashly like a piercing sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. And again in Proverbs 13:3, the one who guards his mouth protects his life. The one who opens his lips invites his own ruin. Since your tongue is such an incredibly powerful tool, you can imagine why your mouth is like a battleground between God and the devil. There is a war for your words, because through your words come life or death. That's why I took the time to teach through the various aspects of the mouth and wrote about them here for you, so that you will be equipped to use your mouth for good and discern when it could be used for evil. Nuclear power can be very beneficial. We are able to improve our lives with this form of power by generating electricity, bringing huge ships, powering huge ships, and so on. Yet a nuclear bomb can also destroy an entire city. It can wipe out life altogether. The same is true for your mouth. Unfortunately, though, many of us fail to realize how significant our speech really is, and so over and over and over again, we speak words that will bring ill health, death, and destruction. And then we wonder why we are depressed and hurting. When God wanted to create something, he used words. Speak life with your lips and watch life come out. When God wanted to create something, he used words. When Satan wanted to destroy something, he used words. Both of them used words in order to exercise their power. If you and I were to change the way we view our mouths and recognize the power of our words, we could literally change our lives for good. Just as you would be careful when handling a loaded gun, you would realize how important it is to be careful with a loaded mouth. You would ask yourself, am I bringing favor into this situation, or am I bringing a curse? And then you would alter your speech accordingly so that and then you would alter your speech accordingly so as to invite favor. So crucial are our words that the psalmist writes, Lord, set up a guard for my mouth. Keep watch at the door of my lips. Psalm 141:3. What does a guard do? He or she opens and shuts a door at the appropriate time. Essentially, the psalmist is asking God to station a policeman at the entrance to his mouth. That sentry would let the psalmist know when to speak and when not to. That's what it means to watch your mouth. Guard it, police it. It is a powerful tool for both good and evil. Do a favor for yourself and everyone around you by using your mouth for good. Just how to do that is what we are going to be looking at through the pages of this book that I'm going to read to you. I hope you'll be encouraged as much as I was when I studied this topic and prepared these teachings. When used rightly, your mouth is a strong asset in so many ways. It's like the cowboy who was driving down the highway in his truck with his dog beside him and his horse in the trailer. He hit a corner too hard and they all flipped. A policeman arrived at the scene shortly after it happened. He approached the horse and saw that it wasn't going to survive, so he sadly put down the horse to relieve it of its pain. Then he examined the dog and saw that it was in agony and near death. So he put down the dog as well. After that, he walked over to the cowboy and asked how he felt. Seeing the policeman's gun still smoking, the cowboy quickly said, I ain't never felt better. Your words can save your life. This is why the message of this book is so important. If we can learn to manage our mouths so that our words are strategically linked to God's intended purpose for speech, then we can see his powerful presence change our course, and as well as the course of those in the sphere of our influence. It's time for all of us to take seriously the imperative, watch your mouth. Okay, so that's enough for today. I'll read some more tomorrow. Thanks for watching. 14 minutes. Let me do this. Yep.